Tonight we continue The Little Prince. We're up to chapter 15. Here we go. The sixth planet was 10 times bigger. It was inhabited by an elderly gentleman who wrote huge books. Well, well, an explorer, he cried when he spotted the little prince. The little prince perched on the table and got his breath back. He had already travelled such a long way. Where do you come from? The elderly gentleman asked him. What's that big fat book? Said the little prince. What are you doing? I'm a geographer, said the elderly gentleman. What's a geographer? A scholar who knows where the seas, rivers, towns, mountains and deserts are. That's very interesting indeed, said the little prince. Now that at last is a real job. And he glanced about him at the geographer's planet. Never had he come across such a magnificent planet. Your planet's very beautiful. Are there any oceans? I have no way of knowing, said the geographer. Oh, the little prince was disappointed. What about mountains? I have no way of knowing, said the geographer. What about cities and rivers and deserts? I have no way of knowing that either, said the geographer. That's interesting. But you're a geographer. That is correct, said the geographer, but I'm not an explorer. I'm desperately in need of explorers. It's not the geographer's job to count all the cities, rivers, mountains, seas, oceans and deserts. He is much too important to go strolling about. The geographer never leaves his desk, but the explorers come and see him. He questions them and notes down what they tell him, and if one of them tells him something interesting, the geographer has the explorer's character investigated. Why? Because an explorer who tells lies would be disastrous for the geography books, and so would an explorer who drinks too much. Why? Asked the little prince. Because drunkards see double, so the geographer would note down 2 mountains when in fact there is only one. I know someone who would be no good as an explorer, said the little prince. That may be the case, so when the explorer appears to be of good character, we investigate his discovery. You go and see it? No, that's too complicated. But we ask the explorer to provide evidence. For example, if he's discovered a big mountain, we ask him to bring us back big rocks. The geographer suddenly grew excited. But you come from a faraway place. You are an explorer. You are going to tell me about your planet. And so saying, the geographer opened his register and sharpened his pencil. Explorers' accounts are written in pencil at first. Once the explorer has provided evidence, they are written in ink. Well, asked the geographer. Oh, my planet isn't of much interest, said the little prince. It's tiny. I have 3 volcanoes, 2 are inactive and 1 is extinct. But you never know. You never know, said the geographer. I also have a flower. We don't record flowers, said the geographer. Why not? They're the prettiest thing of all, because flowers are ephemeral. What does ephemeral mean? Geography books, said the geographer, are the most important books of all. They never become outdated. It is very rare for a mountain to move. It is very rare for an ocean to dry up. We write down permanent facts. But extinct volcanoes can wake up, broke in the little prince. What does ephemeral mean? Whether volcanoes are extinct or alive makes no difference to us, said the geographer. What matters to us is the mountains. It doesn't change. Oops. What's going on here? Oops. The mountain. It doesn't change. And then... But what does ephemeral mean? Repeated the little prince, who once he had asked a question, never let the matter drop. It means likely to die very soon. Is my flower likely to die very soon? Of course. My flower is ephemeral, thought the little prince, and she only has 4 thorns for protection, and I've left her all alone. That was his first pang of regret. But he perked up. What do you advise me to go and visit? He asked. The planet Earth, replied the geographer. We have good reports of it. And the little prince left, thinking about his flower. Chapter 16. And so the seventh planet was Earth. Earth is not just any old planet. Altogether, it has 111 kings, including the African kings, 7,000 geographers, 900,000 businessmen, 7.5 million drunkards, and 311 million show-offs. It is, in other words, around 2 billion grown-ups. To give you an idea of the Earth's size, let me tell you, for example, that before electricity was invented, it was essential to maintain an army of 462,511 lamplighters across all 6 continents. Seen from a distance, the effect was magnificent. The movements of this army were choreographed like those of ballet dancers in an opera company. First, it was the turn of the lamplighters of New Zealand and Australia. Then, having lit their lamps, they would go off to sleep. Next, the lamplighters of China and Siberia joined the dance before they too withdrew to the winds. Then came the turn of the lamplighters of Russia and India, followed by those of Africa and Europe, then those of South America, then those of North America. And they never made a mistake in their order of appearance on stage. It was magnificent. Only the lamplighter of the one lamp at the North Pole and his fellow lamplighter of the one lamp at the South Pole led carefree lives of idleness. They worked only twice a year. Chapter 17. Sometimes when people want to sound clever, they make things up. I was not being completely truthful. Oh no. When I told you about the lamplighters, I may have painted a false picture of our planet to those who do not know it. People actually take up very little space on Earth. If the Earth's 2 billion inhabitants were crammed together, they would easily fit into a public square 20 miles long and 20 miles wide. The whole human race could easily squeeze onto the tiniest Pacific island. Grown-ups, of course, won't believe you. They think they take up a lot more space. They think they are as big as baobabs. So then you tell them to do the sums. They love figures. They will like that. But do not waste time on this chore. There is no point, trust me. Once he had reached the earth, the little prince was very surprised not to see any people. He was already beginning to worry that he was on the wrong planet when a moon-coloured coil wriggled in the sand. "Good evening," ventured the little prince on the off chance. "Good evening," said the snake. "What planet have I landed on?" asked the little prince. On Earth, in Africa," replied the snake. "Oh, so aren't there any people on Earth?" "This is the desert. There are no people in the deserts. Earth is very big," said the snake. The little prince sat down on a rock and gazed up at the sky. "I wonder," he said, "whether the stars are lit up so that eventually each person will be able to find their own star. Look at my planet. It's just above us, but look how far away it is." "It's beautiful," said the snake. "What are you doing here?" "I'm having a spot of bother with a flower," said the little prince. "Oh," said the snake, and they fell silent. "Where are all the people?" said the little prince at last. "It's a bit lonely in the desert." "It's lonely among people too," said the snake. The little prince gazed at him pensively. "You're a funny creature," he said eventually. "As slim as a finger, but I am more powerful than the finger of a king," said the snake. The little prince smiled. "You're not very powerful. You haven't even got feet. You can't even travel." "I can carry you farther than a ship," said the snake. He wound himself around the little prince's foot like a gold anklet. "Those I touch, I return to the dust from whence they came," he told him. "But you are pure, and you come from a star." The little prince did not reply. "I feel sorry for you. You are so defenceless on this cruel earth," said the snake. "If you feel homesick for your planet one day, I can help you. "Oh, I understand perfectly well," said the little prince. "But why do you always speak in riddles?" "I solve them all," said the snake, and they fell silent. Chapter 18. The little prince crossed the desert and met only a plant with 3 petals, a tiny little flower. "Hello," said the little prince. "Hello," said the flower. Where are all the people? The little prince inquired. The flower had once seen a caravan go past. All the people? There are a few, I think, 6 or 7. I glimpsed them years ago, but you never know where to find them. The wind blows them about. They don't have roots, which causes them a lot of problems. Goodbye, said the little prince. Goodbye, said the flower.